And this is a critical safety net for folks who are experiencing unsheltered houselessness, especially as we look at the fact that we're going into fall and winter.
We just hit September, but state officials are already looking ahead. Tonight, they say money will be critical to keeping people alive this winter. Thanks for joining us for K2 News at 6, everybody. I'm Steve Dunn.
I'm Deborah Knapp. K2's Christina Giardinelli is on your side, investigating how that money is distributed and what the state is doing with leftover money from last year's shelter funding.
She's live in downtown Portland now. Christina, $11 million went unspent last year, is that right?
Steve and Deb, that's what my investigation found. That money was left over from a total pot of $24 million that went to support shelters operations last year. Now, Oregon Housing and Community Services tells me that money has already been returned to them by shelters. Every night, thousands of Oregonians sleep unsheltered. As winter approaches, making sure every county has shelter options to offer its homeless residents is a priority for state officials. That's why the state's spending $65 million to support existing shelter operations.
The funding that is going out right now is supporting 4,400 shelter beds across the state of Oregon, and it is really important to support and maintain that infrastructure.
In December, the housing agency spent $24 million to help existing shelters with rent, utilities, and staffing. Shelter expense reports I obtained from the agency show much of that was unspent. Liz Weber heads the agency's Housing Stabilization Division.
The shelter estimates we got were based on this idea that the severe weather shelters would be open for longer, there would be more hours, there would be overtime for staff potentially with the severe weather events, and that didn't fortunately materialize this winter.
Weber says $11 million was left over, and shelters returned that money to the agency. It will be used for things like rent support or rent deposits to get people out of shelter and into stable housing. In the meantime, shelters are getting more money for their operations.
From the first round of funding, we funded about 52 shelters, which represented 2,200 beds. And then the second round of funding allowed us to increase that to 95 shelters.
Those 95 shelters are spread out across 28 counties in Oregon. Weber tells me the agency will continue to track how much of that money shelters are spending, and if there is leftover, it will go back to the state agency. Now, I'll continue tracking those expenditure reports from shelters and bringing you the information as I get it. For now, you can find much more about that $65 million and last year's funding that went unspent by going to our website right now at k2.com. For now, live in downtown Portland, Christina Giardinelli, K2 News.
Christina, thank you.